But Saquon Barkley has the opportunity to break a record that has stood for 40 years. Erick Dickerson's rushing record for a single season is within reach. But the reports are coming out that Saquon Barkley is not going to play in the finale. And actually, we'll start. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's got 101 yards to go and is facing a team in which he ran, I think, 160 yards on. First time he played him against the Giants.
And he sat and he had a choice to go for his personal record.
Yeah.
And he chose to sit out the rest of that game because he just said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I proved my point.
Yep.
But let's hear from Saquon because he talked to Nick Sirianni and then he talked to the media. So we'll play that video first here and then we'll react on the other side.
Asked me, you know, what I like to do. We had a conversation and, you know, he called me back, let me know that we're probably going to be resting. And my reaction was kind of like I told my family. Obviously, my family, you know, probably wanted a little bit more than me. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is winning football games and we're in the playoffs. So I got a bigger goal in mind anyway.
What was your message to Nick when you did it?
I mean, he asked me if I wanted to play, if I want to go for it. I said on Sunday, you know, I probably didn't care too much for it. When I slept on it, it was like it was an opportunity to implant my name in football history. I may never get another opportunity like that again. So I'm down, but at the end of the day, like I don't care for putting the team at risk. He's the head coach for a reason. He makes those decisions, and whatever decision he wanted to make, I let him know if you want me to play, I'm going to go out there and make sure I get it. And if we don't, I'm okay with that too.
So you could hear in his words, even though Saquon team dude, and also why wouldn't you want him on your team? Giants, I would have paid the man. Would he have had the same numbers? Probably not. But would I have paid a guy that cares that much about the team and going out there and is going to represent your team in the right ways? Yes, I digress. But you can sense, guys, it's fair to say, Saquon saying, hey, I'm all about the team, but he mentioned, I might not get this chance again.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like it's a dude that wants to go after the record, but will not put his offensive linemen, won't put his other teammates in a bad position. And I get it, right? That's where embrace the argument and embrace the debate. And maybe do we play the other clip from Dan Orlovsky? And then Zach, I know you got some thoughts on all this, but Dan, he made it very clear. If you're making this decision, there's only one thing that's going to justify this, and that is you better win the whole damn thing. Let's play that clip.
He rests his guys when they have everything locked up. All that is well and good, but they don't always have a record of this magnitude that also hangs in the balance. What's your reaction to the decision?
Better go win the whole thing then. I get it. Football-wise, I get it. The fan in me is bummed about it because he's so close. And I understand the most important thing is going to win the Super Bowl. Better go get it because you don't want to go for two for him. You don't want to pass on, having his name and your team and your name and your franchise attached to that record and then not also win the Super Bowl. So if you're Philly and Nick Sirianni, I 1,000% understand the football element of it. Go win the Super Bowl.
So right there, football-wise, Nick Sirianni as a coach, it's the right move for the Eagles. Their offense is significantly different without Saquon Barkley. But Zach, we kind of talked about this. It's a unique situation.
Yeah, it's a unique situation, and a decision I'm glad I'm not the one making. But I feel for Saquon because he's talked about, and I agree with Dan. I think from a football aspect, from what's best for the team, you sit Saquon. It's an easy decision. But when you take into account, like Saquon said, you never know. He's probably not going to have this opportunity again. This is 101 yards against the team that let you walk to set the all-time rushing record, a record that, like you said, has been 40 years. This isn't, this is a record that was broken a few years ago. You'll probably have another chance next year. Okay, let's focus on this. This may be the shot at the record. Like, this may be the shot at the record. The way that the league is going, passing, all this, that maybe this is it. This could be the last time we have someone come this close. So
it's not.
I agree with Dan. I think as a fan, you've got to be bummed out because this is the guy that everyone was kind of focused on is, hey, he's chasing down the record. Does he get it? And for him to be that close, to be against the Giants, his former team, the storyline just seemed perfect. And, I understand the business decision behind it, but that's an opportunity to put Saquon, put the Eagles, the offensive line. It's just as much their or record as anyone else. I think deep down they'll tell you that they wish they were doing it.
And I understand the sentiment, Zach. I would make the argument though that this record will be broken. It'll be broken because of the 17-game schedule. Of the top 10 rushing seasons, if they all had a 17th week, they probably would have broke Eric Dickerson's record. You look at Adrian Peterson in 2012. If he had another game, he would have smashed that record, and it wouldn't have even been close. He would have made it unreachable. Jamal Lewis with 2,066 yards in 2003. If he had another game.
2012 and 2003. That's twice in the past 21 years.
Well, then you have Derrick Henry in 2020 with 2,027 yards. If he had an extra week, he would have crushed Eric Dickerson's record. So my point is that while it is significant, I think it will happen, and it could happen again by Saquon Barkley. My other thing is that for Nick Sirianni, it's lose-lose.
Yeah,
If Saquon Barkley gets injured, he's probably losing his job because they're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not even going to probably sniff it without Saquon Barkley. So, but at the same time, you kind of feel like you're letting down Saquon Barkley for at least not trying to attempt it. I understand it. If I was a coach, if I was Nick Sirianni, I'm sitting him as well, just because the risk is too great.
It's too great. You're right. And it's players, true competitors, you want to be a champion. Everybody there, when they sit at the end of the day, and you can see why players nowadays at the end of their careers and they haven't had a chance, they go, man, I want that ring. But only a few select are going to have the opportunity that Saquon has, where you can etch your name in the record books. Now, the other conversation with this is the 16 and 17 game regular season, where you're going to say, hey, and I have no problem with saying, hey, the record's broken, but saying, hey, done in a 17 game span, because Eric Dickerson's record would have been even longer. And I know people are trying to make the argument now of, well, Saquon has less carries than Dickerson had that year, which is true. But that's not how this works. You could say that people sit out. The reality is Saquon's going to have an extra game if he were to play to break a record that Eric Dickerson did in just 16. But to your point, Brad, I don't think it's going to be the last time that we're going to see this. What actually is shocking to me of everything, especially this year when you look at it, no 5,000-yard passer, by the way, with situations we're talking about records. It's the rushing record that's getting closer to, but not the passing record. So I just throwing that out there with the extra week. Right now, Joe Burrow's the only one closest to the 5,000 yards.
Yeah, I think he's at 4,900.
He's at 4,600.
4,600, and he leads the league.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think right now, even though we consider the league a passing league, still the records aren't being broken as we had saw with some of the greats like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, who had 5,000-yard seasons or whatever in 9 years or whatever the heck it was. So
insane.
Unbelievable. Now, granted, they were playing from behind a lot, but that's just how it works. So we could talk about that for whatever it may be. But for the Eagles and your Eagles fans, if you want to win a Super Bowl, your best chance is having number 26 in the backfield.